Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
And will. I mean, Anthony
I
Joshua is one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch night-night guy.
Yeah.
Wade, if Jake Paul gets knocked out, will his career be over? Buddy, his life may be over if he gets knocked out by AJ, because that dude put Francis Ngannou flat on his back, and I had never seen Francis Ngannou hurt before. And again,
I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And would I watch it? No. And do I value it? No.
Joe Rogan warns that Jake Paul is stepping into extremely dangerous territory by even considering a fight with Anthony Joshua. Rogan stresses that Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist and one of the most powerful boxers of this era. He believes Joshua would try to make an example out of Jake to stop him from calling out elite champions just for money. Rogan says the level difference is so huge that the fight could end brutally for Jake. Oh my God, if he beat Anthony Joshua, good Lord.
God, if he beat Anthony Joshua, good Lord. Good Lord. I mean, that's a big if, right?
I mean,
Anthony Joshua,
I do not think.
Olympic gold
Yes.
medalist, former heavyweight champion of the world. What he did to Francis Ngannou,
I
like,
know.
good Lord.
Yes.
Do you want that smoke?
Yeah, I just think it's all about the promotion or whatever. I have no idea what the actual motivation is for. That fight's not competitive at all.
Well, it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah.
Because Joshua's going to try to make an example out of him, for sure.
And will.
And will. I mean, Anthony
I know.
Joshua is one of the biggest one-punch KO artists ever.
Yes.
I mean, he's a one-punch.
I mean, he's a one-punch night guy. Yeah. Wade Plemons, the host of the Wade Concept podcast, strongly cautions Jake Paul that by facing Anthony Joshua, he is risking serious physical harm. Plemons points out that Jake walks around at about 90 kilograms while Joshua fights at approximately 111 kilograms, creating a massive weight and strength disparity. He emphasizes that it is one thing to pick fights for entertainment, but quite another to step into the ring with a seasoned heavyweight champion with Olympic pedigree. Anthony Joshua is an Olympic gold medalist after all. Plemons insists that if Jake is knocked out by Joshua, he might never fully recover, arguing that this is not just a mismatch, but a potentially life-altering event. He believes Jake's ambition to fight for money is blindsiding him to the real danger he is undertaking. Issues in making this fight. 1. Yes, that's the former heavyweight champ. Why is he fighting Jake Paul?
in making this fight, 1, yes, that's the former heavyweight champ. Why is he fighting Jake Paul? And 2, why is Jake Paul putting his health and well-being on the line? Because someone asked me on Twitter, Wade, if Jake Paul gets knocked out, will his career be over? Buddy, his life may be over if he gets knocked out by AJ, because that dude put Francis Ngannou flat on his back, and I had never seen Francis Ngannou hurt before. And again, it's boxing, not MMA. Jake has a little more experience, but we're talking about a massive size difference. AJ's still relatively young and still relatively got something left in the tank, and he's only fought the world-class guys for the last 10 years. This would be Jake's not only hardest fight, most dangerous fight of his career. If Jake is doing this, it could signal the last one. I'm not even joking. This could signal Jake being like, I'm having one more of these and I'm out. Because where do you go from Anthony Joshua? We'll get into that part in a second, but the Netflix thing. We know that Anthony Joshua is an exclusive fighter to DAZN. Eddie Hearn has stated that multiple times. AJ, I'm pretty sure, even has a piece of DAZN. I could be wrong about that, but he signed a mega deal years ago with them. So for this fight to take place on Netflix would mean DAZN would say, you can have one of our biggest cash draws, and I may be in a revenue share thing, or maybe Netflix pays them some money, but you can have our biggest cash draw, and we don't have an affiliation with it. That seems a bit unrealistic. But having said that, this isn't a report from anybody in the camp. This is not MVP saying it. This is not Eddie Hearn saying it. This is Mike Coppinger, who I guess has talked to people in the camp. But an independent source saying that they are finalizing a deal. Not that they're in talks. They are finalizing a deal. So this is, again, we're talking 1 yard line, first and goal.
Boxing Kingdom stated on X, Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is currently being negotiated as a professional boxing fight. This won't be an exhibition, and it will follow official Queensberry rules. This confirms that the matchup is being discussed seriously under full professional regulations, not as a casual or exhibition bout. The fight, if finalized, would involve standard professional protocols, sanctioned referees, and scoring, highlighting the high stakes and real danger for both competitors. The rumors that Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is being finalized for December are sweeping the boxing world. Yet Eddie Hearn, Joshua's longtime promoter, calls the talk premature information. Hearn says there are no formal contracts signed and that much of the reporting is speculation at this stage. Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani, the veteran MMA and boxing journalist, suggests that the fact that so many people are talking about the fight means something is happening behind the scenes. Helwani contends that when rumors gather this much steam, they often hint at a real event, perhaps at the end of this year or early next. So despite the caution from Hearn, Helwani remains convinced the fight could materialize sooner than many expect.
Joshua and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell Ring Magazine Paul steps up massively to fight the former heavyweight champion after his exhibition with Gervonta Davis was canceled. Major props to Paul. So there you have it. In the midst of all this, I did reach out to Eddie Hearn, as did Gareth, and he said, "We have spoken, but nothing close, and I doubt he would be so crazy." He being Jake. I then asked him, "Would you say this report is premature?" He said, "Absolutely." And then I said, "Can I attribute this to you?" And he said, "Yes." And so what do we make of this, guys? Do we think there's smoke to this fire? PT, what do you think? You think this is something that could actually happen? This would be within the next month, right? This would be sometime between now and probably December 19th or so, in that time frame. What do you think?
I think it's a huge fight. You know, I didn't expect this at all. Usually when Jake is in a fight, the odds feel like they're stacked very much in his favor. This is the complete opposite of that. I'd very much agree with Gareth A. Davis's take, which was I'd expect Joshua to obliterate him in a boxing match. I mean, look what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou before that Dubois fight. Like, I mean, it was a completely different affair than the Tyson Fury fight. I think, having heard Eddie Hearn's update and having looked at that tweet again, it feels like boxing's equivalent to the old in the works reporting that we used to see in MMA an awful lot, right? Like when we weren't quite sure, maybe one side had verified that this fight is happening, but you can't get the other side to commit, and it's in the works. It's a huge fight. The one thing I will say is, why would you want that out there? Why would the Ring report this? Why would someone give them that information if it wasn't going to happen? Now, because everything else pales in comparison to this, as far as I'm concerned. Every other fight that they had perspective or potential, I don't think it's as big as Anthony Joshua. So I don't know.
This isn't a
why
ring
they would
fight,
want that.
right? This isn't a ring fight. Anthony Joshua is tied to DAZN. Anthony Joshua has a relationship with Turkey Al Sheikh and Riyadh Season. The ring is owned.
MMA Fighting posted on X sharing Leon Edwards' reaction to the ongoing rumors about a potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Edwards said if AJ doesn't knock him out in 1 or 2 rounds, the fight must be fixed or something. His comment highlights the huge gap in skill, power, and experience between the two fighters. Edwards implies that Joshua's dominance is expected and any extended contest would be surprising. The reaction from a top UFC welterweight champion underscores how serious and dangerous the fight would be and how much people doubt Jake Paul's ability to withstand Joshua's power.
If you've seen this fight's in the works, Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul, as a Brit, how do you evaluate?
I've just seen that. Someone just told me about that. That's mad. Fair play to Jake Paul, first of all, for taking it. But if AJ doesn't knock him out in like 1-2 rounds, then I feel like the fight must be fixed or something, because I'm going to Anthony Joshua, obviously, for the KO. So yeah, when is it, you know?
It's going to be next month they're working towards.
Oh, yeah, sick. Yeah, I'm going AJ for the win.
Cheers.
Francis Ngannou, the former MMA heavyweight champion turned boxer, once faced Anthony Joshua and suffered a brutal knockout. This showed Joshua's power is real and his heavyweight ringcraft is not a fluke. Jake Paul had discussions about fighting Ngannou, which was already a bold move considering Francis's dangerous reputation. But now the conversation has shifted to Joshua, who presents arguably an even greater threat. Jake is now looking at a fighter who not only knocked out Ngannou, but has repeatedly demonstrated that his size, speed, and skill at heavyweight make him a monster opponent. In other words, Jake is chasing a man who defeated someone as dangerous as Ngannou, a gamble with enormous upside and monumental risk. During the earlier phase of talks, the matchup considered was Jake Paul versus Francis Ngannou. Francis, however, publicly declined, calling the idea disrespectful and saying he would not waste his time fighting a crossover boxer influencer.
With Jake, and everything's wrong with Francis. He can go with Francis. So now all of a sudden you start satisfying both ends of this. Okay. So when that falls through, the rumor is that Francis and Jake are still in talks. Even though Francis did not come through on the event he was offered and the date he was offered, MVP and Netflix may be willing to reschedule everything and still make him part of it. And Francis' big statement was just, hey, this doesn't make sense. It's not what I'm looking for. Doesn't make sense. Okay. That's not my business. I can't be mad at Francis for that. That just cost Francis a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That just cost Francis life-changing money. I can't be mad. If I'm mad at Francis, then I got my way. He cut off his nose to spite his face. I can't be mad at him. He's already been punished. What good does it do me to be mad at him? All right. Well, then you bring in Joshua, and Joshua shows you how it's done. Right? Joshua and Francis are not remarkably comparable. I mean, not only did they box, they're not remarkably comparable, but in the world of boxing and just the accomplishments. I mean, you take Joshua Benson, Olympic finalist, for goodness sakes, right? Just like lifelong, very well known. Multiple generations of boxing ties. You know, go all the way back to Klitschko. Go all the way back. You couldn't go before Klitschko was there first, but you go all the way back to Klitschko. Anything that has ever happened in the sport of boxing says you can tie Joshua to. And he's a professional, and above everything else, he's a real boxer. So if he is to say something makes sense, then it makes sense. Right? If you have Joshua's opinion of does this make sense to... Now, none of us know what sense mean. We don't even know if he's spelling it with an S or a C. None of us can define or tell you what this means. It makes such little sense that Francis can't even tell you why it doesn't make sense. But again, I can't be mad at Francis. He already pissed down his own leg. So, but if you could have Francis's opinion of what in the world of boxing or combat or money or business or sport makes sense, like
Simon Jordan, the UK boxing commentator and former club owner, was brutally clear about his view. The idea of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is stupid and ridiculous. Jordan acknowledges the money involved is massive, but insists this is not about competition, it's about spectacle. Jordan emphasizes that Joshua is a two-time world heavyweight champion, has fought top-tier contenders, and built his legacy. Jake Paul, by contrast, is nowhere near that level. Jordan argues that this fight would not move Joshua's legacy in any meaningful way, and that it would only serve to endanger Jake and degrade the purity of heavyweight boxing.
Between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul in December. What does it tell us, Simon? Does it tell us more, as I said in the introduction, about the falling star of AJ or the rising one of Jake Paul?
It tells you that there's a huge opportunity for enormous amounts of money to be generated around a fight that really has no integrity behind it in terms of as a fight, but in terms as a media spectacle and entertainment opportunity. You've got a very talented YouTuber that's built himself into a massive influence with huge following, and you've got a former two-time champion of the world that operates at a very high level of engagement. Whether he's a high level of performer anymore is a different discussion. So it becomes about how much can this fight generate, how many eyes on the prize. I mean, I spoke to his very close friend, Michael Jarman, about this very fight about 3 or 4 months ago, and he was like, oh, what do you think? I said, what difference does it make? Oh, it would potentially jeopardize his legacy. His legacy's sealed. You cannot undo the fact, whatever you think of Anthony Joshua,
It might damage it.
I don't think so. What it will do is increase his bank balance. But I don't think. I think it didn't damage Muhammad Ali's reputation to go in with a sumo wrestler, did it?
No, but after, when Joshua was at his peak, Simon, if I had said to you there and then, do you know what? Maybe in December 2025, Anthony Joshua will fight a YouTuber.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the world heavyweight championship twice. and he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment. And if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people.
This Tony Bellew, former WBC Cruiserweight World Champion and now boxing analyst, publicly voiced strong opposition to the fight. Bellew said, "I will not believe this until they step in the ring together." He emphasizes that boxing is a noble sport with guardian rules and systems for fighter safety, not a sideshow where mismatches are purposely made for clicks and dollars. Bellew says size matters, experience matters, heavyweight power matters, and Jake Paul simply has not built the foundation to face Anthony Joshua. According to Bellew, before any deal is made, the promoters and sanctioning bodies should insist on terms that protect the less experienced fighter, in this case Jake, rather than expose him to unnecessary peril. Multiple boxing analysts, voices heard, across podcasts, commentary shows, and industry media have labeled the proposed Joshua versus Jake Paul fight as horrific in terms of danger. They highlight the enormous gap in experience, power, ring IQ, and physicality. They argue Jake may believe he can win, but failed to recognize that Anthony Joshua hits with knockout power, controls range, sets the pace, and has been in the deep waters of heavyweight boxing his entire adult career. The consensus Jake is delusional if he thinks he can stand Joshua's punches and survive the rounds.
Unless somebody wants to kill Jake, does someone want to kill Jake Paul?
The move is bizarre, and I can't help but feel like this calculated gamble is going to go horrendously wrong.
Whoa.
I think there's something there about maybe the way Americans say Anthony Joshua. I've seen it because he's not the only American. Like, there's retired boxers been calling AJ out from over there. Like, I don't think that they realize, because of what AJ was like when he performed in America against Andy Ruiz, and just generally since then, you know, he's lost a couple. I think they massively underestimate him. And I also think part of it is just Jake Paul thinking, what's the biggest fucking name I can do? What's the biggest event? What's one that I actually, and delusionally, in my opinion, think that he's got a chance of just landing a big shot on him, and he just doesn't rate AJ's chin. And it's like, yeah, but like Daniel Dubois, it's not the same, is it? What does this do to Anthony Joshua's legacy just by even taking this fight? Lawrence, you've known him for a lot of years.
To be honest, that's who I'm focused on. I don't really care about Jake Paul. I'm just thinking, you know, AJ needs to get himself back on track after that devastating defeat to Daniel Dubois. Why is he concentrating on Jake Paul? Like, he doesn't need him on his radar. He needs to be focusing on real fighters. And in terms of legacy, I mean, yeah, he's an active fighter. When your career's done, finished, have those type of fun fights. But right now, it makes zero sense to me. So it's just frustrating for me, to be totally honest.
That's the mistake that you're making, though, Loza, because you think he's still he's semi-retired. This is the movement of someone that is on his way out of the game, and you can't turn down that type of money, especially on the night's work that it's going to be. This is like he's already got generational wealth, but you can imagine how big this is going to be. And it's
Netflix, guys.
Netflix. It's massive. Like, so that even I remember Eddie Hearn talking about it, and it seemed like he really wanted that fight, and it's really gutted